Welcome to the Love Leap Podcast. We're your hosts, Adam
and Anisha Leaper, just a couple of young millennials who took the leap from dating to married life. We're here to share the journey with you.
Expect candid conversations with us and our guests, covering everything from the first dates to the early years of marriage.
So take the leap with us on the Love Leap Podcast. Hi, guys. This is episode 6. We'd like to welcome you back to the Love Leap Podcast. Yes. So we are going to start off with our first segment. We're going to talk about a little bit of date night ideas that we have came across so far on the interweb.
Yep, and stuff that we've done. So we're not necessarily going to rate date nights, but I guess we can give our... What?
Do you have a charger over there? I need a block.
Your charger's over there, actually. Plugged up. The block.
I see it.
But we're going to, as she's getting that, we're going to talk about date night ideas to give, couples sparks of creativity, because the longer you're together, trying to actually continue to date your significant other and your spouse can become challenging. So we'll talk about what we do.
And what some people are doing out there.
Yeah, what other people are doing to give you some ideas. And we would love for you all to write into the show. It's lovelypodcast@gmail.com and tell us the date night ideas that you either have or that you've done that have been wildly successful.
Yeah.
For us, our marquee date night is Dave & Buster's. And we've mentioned that in earlier episodes. But yes, our marquee date night is Dave & Buster's.
Yes, it is. We go to Dave & Buster's. And once again, the idea is that we are trying to win a PS5.
That's the goal. It's points for PS5.
Yes. So that's what we do. We just go and just collect points and, tickets and, just play games. And we eat. And we used to eat the chocolate cake there until they got rid of it. Boo.
Boo. Hold on. Let me boo them. Because they did that.
But, yeah. That's probably one of my favorite date nights that we've done.
Yeah,
we always do, but
we use one power card that has been banking up all of these tickets, and we easily get about, I'd say on the low end, like 3,000 tickets.
That's real low.
Yeah, so we get a few thousand tickets every time that we go.
Yeah. We are at actually 33,306 tickets.
Yep. We making moves. So I think it's like 150,000 tickets for the PS5. Yeah. So we are well on our way. And we go during the half off games. Yes. And then they have like all you can eat
wings and stuff too.
So we'll go on those days too. But yeah, that's our marquee date night. Mm-hmm. So what did you find?
So actually I was trying to look for the post. However, we can discuss it. There was a gentleman who was on there on Reddit who was discussing a date night idea that he had. His girlfriend at the time has been dealing with insecurities with her body, and he wanted her to feel beautiful. So he set up an appointment for her to go get her makeup and her hair done, and he set up a photo shoot for her, just to kind of just show that she's beautiful, let her feel a little bit more secure with herself. So he did set up a photo shoot for her, and I was like, oh, that's really cute. I like that.
Nice. That's a nice thing. Yeah, we've seen that before on a few other. What was that one show on Netflix we were watching when they were making over their bedrooms and they sent the couple to get a photo shoot? I can't remember what that show was.
You talking about them sex rooms?
That was
that show.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
I don't think that's for this conversation.
I'm not getting into that.
Oh.
What I am saying is they had one episode where they sent off the couple.
Yeah, but they sent them off to go do a boudoir shoot.
Okay, whatever.
That's different. Adam.
The whole...
That is different.
Whatever.
They sent them... y'all.
Strike that from your memories.
They went. Okay, so the show was like. Sorry, y'all. I don't mean to talk about this, but it was a show where they were trying to have like a secret sex room in their house, and like this lady was coming through, and she was like making the secret sex rooms in like their houses. Like the one they did it downstairs, it was behind like one of those library doors. What he's talking about is she sent them to go do a photo shoot, but it was a boudoir photo shoot. A boudoir photo shoot. So they were half naked, and when she put the pictures inside the room, that's not the same.
Okay, it's not the same thing, but you could do that if you feeling, whatever you like. Boudoir photo shoots are cool too.
That's not this. She was feeling insecure with herself, and so he just wanted to show her that she was a beautiful person, and he wanted her to have all these lasting pictures of herself, and he did take some pictures with her. This is different. See, so fellas, men's brains, honestly, fried eggs.
Book that
fried eggs.
Book that photo shoot,
y'all.
And if you want other date night ideas,
I was full of it.
You want other date night ideas?
Shut up.
You can tune in.
Full of it.
We'll keep bringing these on the podcast in our segment from now on.
You are full of it.
Okay, can I get to something? No. You keep saying the same thing, we can move on.
Oh my god.
Another thing that we've purchased that will give you a bunch of date night ideas and create some spontaneity is the adventure book. The adventure book, and if you get a like Polaroid type of camera with it,
you can buy it with a bundle if you want to.
Yeah, you can buy it. I think we bought ours with the bundle. Oh no, we bought the book, but then we ended up buying the camera separately. Bunch of different date night ideas. It's a scratch off book, so you don't get to see which dates are there beforehand until you scratch them off, and you have to do that date. So it's a really unique concept, an awesome item to have, especially if you're just like, I don't know what kind of date nights we want to do and we want to spice things up. You can always get the adventure book, and maybe one day we can get them to potentially sponsor. Who knows?
As well as a boudoir company.
I didn't go that far. See, now you're spicing it up and doing extra.
Whatever. Anyways, let's go ahead and move on to our honorable mentions. One thing that we forgot to tell you guys was we did have our first birthday bash. We mentioned it, but we didn't go into detail. So our first birthday bash was actually in DC, and we rented an Airbnb. And we had like a little get together. That's when I officially met Brianna, Bianca, and Key and BB. They actually stayed at the Airbnb with us. And Cortez came out and kicked it with us. He brought some of his friends. He bought us this big old bottle of 1800 that sat on our fridge. It moved with us in Baltimore, and it moves with us to Laurel when we moved to Laurel, Maryland. And we did not touch that thing at all.
He was so proud in giving that to us at the brunch. Like, because what he gave us, it was 2 bottles of Bel Air. And then he gave us that.
And I was like,
he told us why he gave us that because
I got a headache just looking at it.
Because he got it from somebody and he didn't know what to do with it. So then he gave it to us. And I'm like, well, what do you want us to do with it? He made us open it, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and take shots, take a couple shots.
That was the first and the last time we ever took a shot.
So that we couldn't give
it back. We couldn't give it to nobody because we drank out of it.
Crazy.
So, yeah, absolutely not. But, so with, this, we decided to do a double date. It was me, Adam, and Bianca and BB, and we decided to go to the Melting Pot. We are very big fans of interactive dating, which is like, going to restaurants or whatever, hot pot, Korean barbecue, Korean hot pot. Yes. So Melting Pot was just not that far off because when we lived in Maryland, that was the best part about living in Maryland was that DC was up the street and they always had food. Like it was always something that was new.
I mean, even in Maryland, like we did the crab, the all-you-can-eat crab.
Lord Jesus. Yep. We will be back in Maryland soon for them because I usually have a layover there and I'll go with BB, Bianca, and Brianna and Key. Go get all-you-can-eat crab because, Lord.
Amazing.
Yeah, I have got to have it.
$40.
$40, all you can eat, blue crab. Why not? That's a deal.
Crazy.
I've actually took 2 of my crew members when we had a layover there, and they went, so they enjoyed it. But I digress. So yeah, so we were like, let's go to the melting pot. I've never been in the melting pot. Adam had never been to the melting pot. Don't remember if they had, but
no,
we're like, let's go ahead and go.
I think they went. I think they've been once or twice.
Our reservation was like at 8:00, and we didn't leave there until like almost 1:00 in the morning. It took forever.
Yeah, they were closing up. But it was from 8 to almost midnight. Yeah, something like that. They were getting ready to close. This was around the time when we were allowed to go into restaurants, but you could, which was so stupid.
You just had to wear your mask in, and then when you sit down, just take the mask. And COVID was going to stop right there at the table. Right. Like, nope, I'm not going to touch you.
Right. They had those. Clear. They had those like clear curtains and stuff. The heavy plastic ones.
COVID was the time.
The double masking with the face shield.
Or the people that used to drive around with their mask on, with the gloves on, and use the same gloves for everything.
Wait, in their cars, knowing that they weren't Ubers or anything like that, and they were just in their cars driving that way. Like,
COVID was interesting.
We were all bamboozled, but I digress, because that's a whole... We're not getting into that.
Anyways, but yeah, so... we got there, and I was not expecting it to be this long. I feel like the service was really slow, though. Now that I think back on it, like, I just feel like the service was just like slow. The guy came over like every blue moon or whatever, but we ended up doing like the 4-course meal or something like that, where it was like an appetizer, then the cheese fondue, and then it was
So it was the appetizer, the main course, and then the dessert.
So it was 3 courses. So the first one was the cheese fondue, and it was good. And then the second one was like the broth, and then it came with like the meats and stuff like that, and that was good. But it took so long. We were just like, can you box up the dessert and we'll do the dessert at home?
Let's go.
And so he was like, that's fine. And so in between us waiting for him to come back with the check, my stomach started doing the Watusi, and I was like, hey, I gotta go to the bathroom. And Bianca was like, I'll come with you. And I was like, oh, absolutely not. Like, nah, girl, I'm good.
Please don't.
Don't. Have a seat. Please don't. And it was just like that scene in White Chicks when he was running into the bathroom and he had those quiche and he was lactose tolerant and he was like, woo, bitch. That's how I ran into the bathroom. And I'm not a lactose intolerant girly. Like, I can do all of that stuff and I'm fine. But I think with the quantity of cheese that was in that fondue, it just was like, yeah, absolutely not, baby. We're going to go ahead and come out. You know, one way or another, I'm going to find you. I'm going to get you. So I go into the bathroom and BB's like, well, I'm going to go get the car. I was in the bathroom the whole time that he went to go get the car. And like, I could not get up. And I was just like, oh, this is really bad. Like, y'all, it was coming out like lava. Like, it was, you ever seen that movie Bridesmaids when they had the food poisoning?
And she was sitting on
Shorty
the sink.
was in the sink and she was like, don't look at me. Don't look at me. And she's like, Megan, don't. And she was letting it rip in the sink.
In that beautiful marble sink.
That was me. That was me. I was like, oh, absolutely not. I don't even remember where Bianca it was at this point in time. She may have went outside, but I was definitely in there. And it was like one of those where like you had to keep flushing at the same time. So.
And it still stunk.
He don't know. Anyways, so then BB finally gets the car, and so then I come outside, and I was like, "Yeah, you're gonna have to step on it there for me, buddy. You're gonna have to. It's gone. You're gonna have to step on it. It's ASMR.
No,
you were crunching in the microphone.
No, I was away from.
Yeah, I was like, you're gonna have to go ahead and step on it because I got to get somewhere. I got to take the Browns to the Super Bowl. So, I get into the Airbnb and I like ran up the stairs. Adam was obliterated somewhere. Like it was our birthday weekend, so we were mostly like drinking.
Drunk. Yeah.
So he don't know. He don't even know what's going on.
I was downstairs the whole time.
Yeah, I went upstairs and turned the faucet on and the shower on so that it could drown out that noise because TMI was coming out of both ends. Like it was.
But in the Airbnb that we had, you couldn't hear anything because there were people downstairs. We were supposed to go out that night, so Cortez had brought back had brought some people from his cohort.
Of course, there's no everybody in the world.
Yeah.
He always gonna have somebody with him.
He brought some people with him. We were gonna go out. I think we were all sufficiently tired. BB was laying on the couch with his feet out in an Airbnb, like his toes was out. I was sitting there dozing off in a chair.
One thing Adam gonna do, he's old. He gonna fall asleep.
I remember looking at BB and I looked at him and I was just like, "You want to go out?" And he's like, "Nah." And I was like, "Yeah, we're not going out." Then like, we were sufficiently tired. We're just not going out. But it was a whole day of doing stuff. Like we were up doing brunch. We were doing a lot of stuff that day. So I was tired. I was like, "Yeah, I ain't doing this, champ."
That was a lot.
So then I get upstairs. I didn't know any of this was happening with Anisha. So I get upstairs and go in the room, and she comes in, and she was like,
"Baby, I was dehydrated."
She's like, "Yeah, it was coming out of both ends."
I was done.
I was like,
"Yeah,
why
you
didn't
you gotta worry about me ever going there again?"
I was like, "Why didn't you reach out to anybody to like help you with anything? Like, did you?"
They did.
Something?
They knocked on the door because Brianna and Key's room was right next to the bathroom, and I was just like, "Y'all, this is just so bad." Yeah, it was real bad. I was like, "Yeah, let me just go ahead and just go back. Let me just go to bed. Like, let me just hop in the shower real quick and wash the stank off and go to bed." Because yeah, it was bad. I was literally looking up on Google, like, can you develop lactose intolerance? And it's like
from like being older
and like just getting older. Yeah, I was hurt. I was definitely hurt.
Nah, it was just your stomach just did the 2-step or whatever they was serving.
Is that cheese?
Yeah, anyways, cheese is crazy.
So we're gonna go ahead. Are we done? We're gonna get into episode
Honorable
6.
mentions. I don't think we had anything else.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into episode 6. So we left off with getting ready to do the wedding pictures. Well, I don't know wedding engagement pictures and cicada season. So we said
cicada season.
We talked about it. But yeah, so Adam was sick as a dog. We had already had an idea of kind of what we were gonna do with these pictures, but we needed somebody there to help execute these pictures. And so why not call me?
Yes, the good brother Meech, my special. He is
he's a time
pro fight, a member of Cap Alpha Psi. He's an older head in the pit in Beta Epsilon Pitch chapter. But he at the time, well, now he's back in.
He's in the States now.
He's back in the States now. But at the time, he was living in the DC area. So again, not too far. We would all hang out because Dre, Mo, us, pretty much everybody from 2 episodes ago that we talked about the New Year's party, we would all hang out together. That was the little clique in that.
Meech is gonna come back up in the wedding episode at the bar.
Yeah. He'll come up at the bar. You'll hear about
Meech is a great time.
We're actually gonna try to get him on the show.
Yeah, he is so sweet.
He's funny. But we were all in that, in the same radius, so we would all hang out together. And I guess he wasn't doing anything that day.
Yeah.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I had mentioned it to him, or we had mentioned it to him, and he had said something about somebody going and coordinating and kind of like, positioning himself to be there.
Yeah, we were like, come on, you can come. So he ended up coming, and he stayed with us the whole day. And like we went from indoors to outdoors, outfit changes. He did everything. He helped us with everything.
That pivot from we were going to go to this garden type of
the marketplace, yeah. It was like a garden. It was called the marketplace,
but it was like an outdoors. It was like a garden area. So
because one thing about it, and we're gonna bring this up. I'm gonna bring this up now. One thing about the DC, like the Maryland area, if you're a photographer, you have to have permits for half of those places that are out there.
So I
thought was nuts.
We didn't know that the place we originally picked, which had statues and had greenery and stuff. We didn't know that.
And we were gonna go with a different photographer too. So I ended up helping coordinate my friend Kirsten's graduation pictures. And remember, she had the guy that took her pictures out in DC. Remember, I drove all the way to DC to help her with her pictures.
Yeah.
And he did an amazing job with her pictures and only charged her like $100. And I reached out to him, and he like ghosted me, but he ended up finding out he ended up getting sick. He was sick, and so I was like, oh, okay. So then we ended up finding the guy that we went with, and so then that's how that happened. So
and he put us hit to, hey, that location that you want, you have to have a permit, or the photographer
we were going to go to DC,
to shoot there, and we were like, oh, well, that's not going to work. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, it was going to rain. Mm-hmm. So he was like, well, I know somebody who works in, and I've done pictures in the Royal Sonesta, so let's go there. And it was down in the Inner Harbor, so we could do our outfit change to, we had, and we'll put pictures up again. We had Nisha got us 2 shirts made. So she had her Kappa Sweetheart shirt, and I had my Newt shirt, my KSI shirt on. It was white with red lettering with our information on the back, chapter numbers, the whole 9. So we were going to change into that and do a like dress down section of the photo shoot. And he was like, well, literally across the street is the Inner Harbor where everybody walks. So there's a bunch of free spots. There's a bunch of stuff that we can shoot there and capture some really good pictures. So you're like, all right, we're down. We made that pivot within less than 24 hours.
And y'all know me, I like the stress. I wasn't stressed. I was not stressed.
Well, because we were stressed about you need the permit. And then he's like, don't worry about it. I got y'all. So we get to the Royal Sonesta. We're in, again, I'm sick as a dog. It's not COVID at this time. It's just my seasonal changeover.
That was honorable, but George was talking about you with COVID.
Oh.
Well, that's fine. We'll go in after.
We'll touch it at the end. We'll do honorable mentions twice. So we'll touch that one at the end. Just remind. So we get in there. I'm in the suit. If anybody, I don't know if the lights are blocking this.
Oh, yeah, these are pictures.
If anybody can see these, which we will post some of these, then you can see, like, it's always behind us in our, if you're watching the podcast on Spotify, the picture that's behind us on our wall, a collage of some of the pictures that we took during that day. But I'm in a suit with a bow tie. She's in this really nice, beautiful black dress.
Amazon.
Yes. And I think the suit I got from somebody, but the shirt and the bow tie I got off Amazon, just for that to make it dress up more like a tux. We went through the inside of that. We found this nice little, it was like a bar area with a library.
With the elephant on the
elephant wall. Painting on the wall. We found a nice chandelier. We found a bunch of spots going through this hotel. And it was during the daytime on like a Saturday, so there was barely anybody in there. So we were able to, the spiral staircase, we were able to get a lot of good shots where nobody was present and nobody was bothering us. The piano, because those bigger ballrooms that they have, one of them was locked, but the other one
Misha was going around pulling doors.
Oh yeah, he was pulling doors because he was like trying to make sure we were good. So he pulls this door and he's like, "Hey, this is open. It's got this nice, baby grand piano and a chandelier." So that was our second to last site that we shot inside. Had some a great experience. Our photographer was like, that guy was amazing.
He's tough. He just did a wedding. I think it was Kurt Franklin's daughter. I think he just did Kurt Franklin's daughter's wedding. I think she lives out in the Maryland area. So I think it was either his daughter or his
Shaka was his name.
Shaka's his name. Yeah, Shaka Watson.
Watson. But photographer price probably done gone up by the time.
But we only paid like $125.
Yeah,
he was
price
low.
Price probably went up, but amazing editing.
And we still live there. When we decided to have a baby, if we still live there, he did not return.
Yeah, he was getting for sure. So, just all around solid on his delivery, on his customer service, everything. Just even his thoughts of where we should stand.
Absolutely.
We went outside, and then we went to this because that was like one of the first few times we've actually during the daytime been on the harbor.
I freaking love Maryland.
So we found this pub, this Irish pub.
It has some really good fish and chips.
Great fish and chips and
corned beef.
Some of the best corned beef Reuben sandwiches.
Yeah, we took Meach with us up there.
Oof.
Poor Adam was still sick though.
I was sick, but that didn't stop Meech from giving us alcohol, a little bit of alcohol.
One thing Meech gonna do
is he's gonna drink.
He gonna drink. He gonna make us drink too. That's one thing he gonna do, and that's why I said it's gonna come up later on in the wedding after party. Woo! That's one thing he gonna do. Oh, and the bachelor and bachelorette party. That's one thing Meech gonna do.
Are we getting to that in this episode?
No. We got some ways to go. No, that the bachelor and bachelorette party does not come up. It shouldn't come up.
Yeah, because we're still early in the planning.
Wait.
At this time. Might. Nah, we still have some stuff.
No.
Yeah. So the photos went well. I think it was a very quick turnaround from when he
gave us edited pictures back, I think, the next day.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So the pricing was amazing. The photos were amazing. His turnaround time was really good. And then we took those and we still use them to this day. But
very awesome.
Just great experience. So
we'll link his stuff down.
Yeah, we'll link his stuff down in the description. So you all can holler at him if you're in the area and try to give him some business. Very, very solid in what he was doing.
So then after that, so we're getting into the time frame now where Adam actually switched jobs. And in between him switching jobs, I ended up going hybrid, and it was time for us to end our time in Baltimore.
Yep. So I was, again, like we knew with Birkenstocks, very, very interesting experience working under him. And I got so frustrated. And at that time, I had met, I think this was prior to, what is he doing?
Licking himself. He's hitting his collar over there.
This was prior to prior to COVID and the shutdowns. But I had met another fraternity brother at an event in Towson, at Towson University. He was working for a different company. And he ended up getting a position as an HR director for Volkswagen Group of America. So I hit him up one day and I was praying about it. I was frustrated and I just wanted to know what his team did because it was talent acquisition. So I was like, well, what's the major difference? So I just struck up a conversation. I had his contact info, so I texted him. And his next text to me was, hey, frat, how's it going? I got an opportunity for a recruiter position. Let me know if you're interested. I'm going to get on, let's set some time up tomorrow evening from the time that he texts me back to talk about it so I can prep you for the interview. I was like, bro, I didn't even ask you all that. I just
want to know how you're doing.
Right. I just wanted to, first off, see how you're doing, and then second off, just ask what your team does. I was going to ask him for if he's got a referral on a job or anything like that, but that wasn't my main, that wasn't the first message. So he responded immediately. So right place, right time. God has his own timing. And at first I was like, this might be a little sketchy. But then I talked to him. He told me what it was. I was going to be getting paid. I was going to be getting a nice boost in salary, and I wasn't going to have to play the sales game. I wasn't going to have to deal with Birkenstocks. I wasn't going to have to deal with a lot of the stuff that I was dealing with. And
you were remote.
And it was fully remote. And we weren't ever going hybrid or ever going in unless I wanted to. So I took it, and
just a heads up, you guys might hear some thunder. It's lightning outside. So I just thought it.
So I took it. And was like, we're good. We're off to the races. Left where I was working at to start working with Volkswagen full time. That allowed me to go fully remote. So the table that we are on right now filming, Anisha and I, this was our work table.
This was in Baltimore and Laurel.
So around that time, even before I got the position, we were like, we're going to have to either re-up on our lease or move.
But this came at a perfect time because I was getting ready to go hybrid.
We needed to move.
We needed to because we needed to be closer to where I was going to be at. So I was going to be working out of the Hanover office, and from Baltimore to Hanover, it was just way too far.
Well, farther than you wanted to travel, because
Right.
I had to pass Hanover to get to Annapolis, so I was going 50 minutes one way at least. She would have had to travel about like 40-ish minutes or something. 30, like high 30s, low 40 minutes. I was still traveling like closer to an hour to get there. But she didn't want to make that trip every day and back. So I was like, well, how can I make it so that my woman ain't got
women? Jesus.
Not women. I didn't mean my woman don't have to stress like that. And she can have a shorter commute. So then we were looking at spots, and that's when we had found the spot in Laurel.
Yeah.
That would have been, if I was still going to stay at the last job, I would have taken a little bit of a longer commute than you. It would have been like 35 minutes for me, but for you, it was going to be like 25 to 30 minutes. So it was almost even of a commute. And I was like, okay, I'm cool with that. And I was like, but we were going to need more money, and I was going to need a new job. And then that's when that
fell into place. Which is perfect. Eviction Boy didn't have any problems there. It was not as strict as it was in Baltimore.
But we also had our paperwork.
Yeah, we just used the same thing.
His first eviction.
And
or his only eviction.
Yeah. So we moved to Laurel, and for some reason it says moving to Laurel 2 apartments. Oh, we were living in 2 apartments at the same time.
Yeah, so right around this time, so we had to take the keys.
Like, what does that mean? But yeah, we were living in 2 apartments.
Yeah, we had to take the keys in Laurel early before our birthday. So our plan was, could we get the keys going into our birthday weekend?
We were planning the birthday bash,
Yeah, we were planning the birthday bash, and then we were gonna ask for the people that were coming up to help us move our stuff over, because we were gonna have more people to do that.
Yeah.
And we were gonna try to do it in one jump. So that didn't work, because they were like, no, you have to take the keys like early. It was like at the end of July, but it wasn't when we needed it to be. So we said, okay, we'll get these keys. We'll start moving stuff, and we still have the apartment in Baltimore, so we could just slowly
move everything. So I loved it like that, though. I mean, it was a little bit chaotic, and it was a farther of a drive. Laurel to Baltimore was a long drive, so having to go back and forth to go get stuff, like, you literally cannot miss anything, because you do not want to go back there. So, but we ended up planning our birthday bash, and so our birthday bash was the same weekend that they had the wine festival in Baltimore. It was like the wine and crab festival or something like that.
Yeah, it was a dual thing.
Yeah, it was amazing. So let's see. Kirsten was there, Ashley was there, Bianca, Brianna, Key was there.
Kirsten is, I think you mentioned her earlier.
Yes, I worked with Kirsten at State Farm.
Yeah.
Love her to death. So I worked with her at State Farm, so she came. She's from Baltimore as well, so she was there. Amir was there. He was in town, so he came. BB was there. Herb was there. Meech was there. Khalif was there.
And this was Herb post being
on The Bachelor.
So for all of you Bachelor fans that are watching this, if you remember
George. I forgot George. Ashley and George were there.
I can't remember what season it was or who his friend is, but Herb Jenkins went viral on like all social media
for being the smart friend. Yeah.
For being the smart friend. And women were like,
swooning.
We want Herb to be on The Bachelor. And it's crazy.
Like, we're walking around with him, and I think it was a girl. There was like 2 girls that stopped him. They were like stopping him. It was like, weren't you on The Bachelor?
Yeah, because he was the friend.
Like, oh my gosh.
And they were taking pictures of him
royalty
and all types of stuff. So yeah, that was a fun time.
So this wine festival.
Did we say Khalif?
Yeah, we said Khalif. I just forgot George. I think that was it. So this wine festival, like, they give you a glass, and you just go around to these stations and you just get wine. Like, you just try wine. That was it. And poor Meech.
So Meech got there. So
you remember when he was like, when we got there, was like, okay, y'all, let's go get some food. He's like, I'm not eating. That's what was his first mistake.
So we got there, and he got there late. Him and Khalif were living together, and they both got there probably like an hour or so later. Or they got there with not that much time left.
No, and so Meech was like, I don't want no food. Forget that.
Because the food vendors weren't closing like that, but the wine vendors were starting to close up. And he was like, I ain't got that much time. Granted, we were going to go eat food later that evening.
Yeah, that night, yeah.
Like maybe in an hour or two after. So he was like, I ain't got this kind of time. I got to catch up, is what he said.
Yeah, and so I was like, okay, me and Ashley, because me and Ashley were walking around, and by this time, me and her are wedding planning, so we're just like chit-chatting or whatever. I'm trying to remember, because I think Bianca and Brianna them had to leave, and they were gone for a bit, and I think Kirsten ended up leaving too. So me and Ashley were walking around, and we were like, we'll have Meech with us. And so when we're walking around with Meech is going around, and like when people, the wine vendors are trying to explain the wine, he just like throws the cup and was just like, don't explain it, just pour it.
Like, just give me more. It was a cup like this, so it wasn't
if you can see
the flute one. It was more like this. It was glass.
It was a glass. It was a small wine glass. So
I thought it was these versions that.
No, the glasses are in there. Okay. It was like a wine glass, and
like with the
remember it had like a little necklace. You could wear it as a necklace.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so he was just like, I don't want to hear all that. Just go ahead and pour it. Like he was just like, go ahead. This man.
It was one vendor that.
When he flirted with the dude, and then he was just like, I don't care what you're saying. Just go ahead and just keep pouring.
But the dude was like pouring heavy-handed pours, because they would only pour like little bits.
But this man was pouring him a lot.
And this guy was trying to get rid of the rest of his stuff.
And Meech was just standing there, and he was just like, "Yeah, I'm gonna take this."
And I think his wine was infused.
It was a higher, it was so crazy.
It was a higher alcohol content, and he's giving Meech like this
much glasses of this.
And he's just like, keep it coming, keep it coming.
It's okay. We have pictures of Meech. Like, we have pictures of all of us together. And Meech is the only one that's in the picture, just obliterated. Like, I'm going to zoom in on just his face, and I'm going to post it. He's going to be so mad. But this man was done. So how I really knew he was done was, and I've never really heard Meech talk crazy to anybody. But me and Ashley were, like, literally walking with him. And this man, it was an old head, and he had on like his Q nail, like he had on his Q stuff. And Meech was like, "Oh, how you doing, man?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm good, brother. How you doing?" He's like, "Oh, that sucks. You're on the wrong side of 1911." And he just like, Meech, he was like, "That sucks. I'm sorry for you." And he just like walked away. He's like, "Come on, girl, let's go. We need more wine." I was like, Meech.
And I'm sitting there. I can't remember who I was sitting with, but I'm just enjoying
I think I called you, and I was like, Meech is literally lit. Like,
I think I was with Khalif, and I was with Herb. I think, no, Herb left early, for sure. It was Herb and Kirsten definitely left early. I remember that.
I remember they
she
left
like almost after he did.
Yeah, and she was like, let me know if y'all do anything.
I was sitting with like Khalif or something, and I'm just smoking a cigar. And I was sitting with George and Khalif, and I'm smoking a cigar, and then you were like, I was like, maybe I should check my phone. I pick up my phone, and you were like, yeah, Meech is about to get in a fight. You got to come save us.
So crazy to this man.
I was like, oh my God.
And that man was like, okay, like.
So I had to walk a pretty decent way, like, because it was a big oval. But I was on one side of the oval. They were almost on the other. So I had to walk back to go find them. And he was plastered.
He was done.
That man was lit.
It was great.
To the point where he didn't make it out that night.
No, he didn't.
Literally, we all went home. We're like, hey, we're going to go back to the crib, just get dressed and stuff, freshened up. And we're going to go to, it was Sports Bar and Social at the casino. Maryland Live Casino, and we're gonna go there.
He didn't make
and
it.
We're gonna eat in, like, they had some games there. We're like, we were just gonna chill, eat, do our thing. He didn't make it, and when we called, I FaceTimed Khalif, I think, and Khalif, either Khalif FaceTimed Dre or I FaceTimed.
No, he FaceTimed Dre,
and Dre took screenshots because
He's like, what did y'all do to my? He was like, what did y'all do to my brother? I was like, no, what did he do to himself?
Meech was at the front door of his own house in the bushes, laid out.
He was plastered.
Like, he was done. Khalif wasn't that far behind him as far as being drunk, but he was at least in a state, like, he wasn't drunk really, but he's like, I'm just tired.
Yeah.
They made it home safely, but he took a photo, like, they were taking screenshots. Meech was laying down. Like, he had to drag Meech into the house and lay him down. He did not come out that night. It was a wrap for him.
It was bad.
But that time, that was a good festival. Now, you had to...
Oh, my gosh.
So it was 2 different festivals in one, because the Crab Festival was on the inner... They had, like, this big tent that stretched the inner part of the oval, and then they had all the wine vendors and all of the other food vendors on the outside of the tent. But if you got the food, if you paid for the Crab Festival portion, you got to eat all you can eat crab at the tables in there, and they would just keep bringing it to you and stuff. We didn't get that because it was pricey,
but we had time anyway.
We had a time.
Yeah. It was fun. So with our new apartment, this apartment was, oh my goodness. So we're gonna put this in there. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna talk about our neighbor upstairs from hell. So how this apartment was we had a sliding patio door, and the sliding patio door, if we didn't go out of the front door, so if we went out of the front door, you had to go up some stairs, and then there's the main door, and then you just go downstairs.
This time we were on the bottom.
We were on the bottom floor. So how our old apartment layout was, this is how we were. So we just had a patio door, and instead of taking Braxton through the front door to go up the stairs and then back down the stairs outside, we would just take him through the patio door where it had 3 stairs, and then he would just be right there in the grass. It was easy.
Yep.
So we had that little patio, and then there was a person upstairs, and there was a balcony. Every person had a balcony. I don't know who this person was to this day. I'd never seen the person. I don't know what the person looks like. It would just be like 5 o'clock in the morning, and you would just hear birds like continuously chirping. And it was like, all right, like, what the heck is going on? Like, what's happening? It's just birds at 5 o'clock in the morning. And Braxton would just be like barking at the patio door, hitting the patio door because he sees these birds. And so I was like, well, why is there so many birds on the patio? Like, what's happening? I looked out this one day, and there was like burger patties on our patio.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, where in the world did this come from? Like, who is throwing trash? So then this one day, I think you were gone. I fell asleep on the couch, and Braxton was next to me. And I just hear a glass bottle crash and break. And I was like, what in the world is happening? And I open up the window, and there's beer bottles on the patio. So at this point, we get irritated because we're just like, every day we wake up, there's food on the patio.
Like half-eaten chicken wings.
Yes, literally everything. And the thing is that
would go for
he would go for that stuff. And that's the problem. They can't have cooked chicken wings. So like, they can't have cooked bone. And Braxton would get a hold of these things. And sure, we have to fish out his mouth, but I don't want to have to do that. That's disgusting.
Yeah.
And somebody else already ate off of it. So now I'm doubly irritated because now he's got a hold of something that could potentially kill him.
We don't know what kind of germs that person
Exactly. So I walk out of the regular door this time, and I look, and when you walk out of the regular door, you can see that patio that's just right above us. This person was literally opening up their door and just throwing their leftover food on the patio and just throwing it. That's literally what they were doing. We called and complained, I think, twice, and they sent them notices. Like, you got to stop doing that.
Well, the head, I guess, she wasn't the property manager.
They actually did stuff here. They worked.
She tried to go pay them a visit a couple of times, and the person wouldn't come to the door. I think they came to the door one time, and she was telling them, like,
you guys stop
doing it.
So I'm like, okay, listen, because at this point in time, y'all are going to be paying for this vet bill if we have to take him to go get his stomach pumped if he gets a hold of something, because I'm not doing it. And I was furious. Like, I was over it. And I was like, no, because on top of that, at this time, they had like a smaller dog park, and there was this hole. Remember that hole that was in the middle of the in the dog park?
Yep.
He ran and did something and twisted his ankle, and he was down bad for like a few days. Braxton couldn't walk. He got up, and when he got up out of the bed, he got up when we were asleep, and when he was coming into the living room, because we were working at home that day, and he was coming into the living room, and I was like, why is he limping like that? And Adam was like, just give it some time. Maybe he just needs to sit down and just kind of like let it kind of chill.
Because he had played a lot the day before, but we didn't notice that his paw had went into that hole.
Yeah, we didn't see
tweaked it. So, but he was playing a lot in that little field with the friends. So we're like, maybe he
had friends over there.
Yeah, maybe he's just a little tired.
Because I'm like, he would go out there and he would run after Leica. He'd run after Elsa. Like, he was always doing something. He always he loved playing with them. And so we watched it, and it was like swelling up, and it was big. You remember his paw was like huge.
Paw was fat. Yeah.
And he wouldn't get up to do nothing. He wouldn't eat. He wouldn't go to the bathroom. He wouldn't do anything. So he has this utility vest that we would put on him every so often. Makes him look like a really scary dog. It's so cute.
Makes him look like a military
dog. Which that comes up because Kyrie's going to come up in a little bit. But it makes him like a military dog. We had to hold the top of it to get him outside to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
It was
like
bad. It was so bad. Like, literally, you had to literally hold him to get him up the stairs.
So he didn't put that much weight on it.
It was so bad. But we ended up taking him, and they was like, he's fine. His paw,
it's like a hairline fracture or something that he just had to get some medicine on.
But they patched up the hole. So once you make complaints about it there, when we lived out there, it was just like they kind of took care of it most of the time.
And they also had Orkin that would routinely come through, especially after people moved out. They would come through and fumigate the places.
This is how Braxton became Lyme disease boy.
Around this time?
Yeah. He remember we took him because remember when he did that with his foot, I had to drive all the way back to Baltimore to his vet all the way in Baltimore.
Oh yeah.
And he had that Q that was his vet. And then I was like, well, we need to find a vet that's closer out this way. And then we found a vet. It was an African-American woman. And she did the test on him and was like, have you noticed he had any ticks on him lately or anything like that? And I was like, no. And it was like, do you live in a wooded area? And I was like, yeah, there's trees and everything around him. It's like, oh, because he tested positive for Lyme disease.
Did he get, I think it was the ticks from Baltimore because we had more trees when we were over there. But yeah, now we constantly tick check him.
Yeah, he gets ticks checked, but we didn't know anything about it. But they can get Lyme disease from ticks, and then once they have it, they just have it. But he's not going to die or anything like that. He's fine. No, it just stays in the system.
Yeah, I think it was like so far away from when it actually was an acute amount of Lyme disease in his system when she caught it. So we always, he's either eviction boy some days. We just make jokes about him. He's Lyme boy.
Yeah.
She's Lyme disease boy. Just need to bring him some lemons.
So besides that man or woman, I don't even know if it was a man or a woman that lived upstairs.
It was a man.
It was a man.
I remember hearing the voice of that person. It was a dude that was.
They were up like that man was up early. Like he would have his patio door open.
Sometimes he would be yelling.
He would be blasting Bob Marley and stuff early,
like
smoking. He was just alive.
Like gangster rap music, like the old 2000 stuff. Yes. Like he'd be blasting that too, and you're just like, dude, what is going on with you?
Yeah. So. Besides that, we had a Ring doorbell at the time at the apartment. It wasn't where we lived at wasn't bad. However, up the street was kind of bad. There was always something going on.
It's a little hood adjacent.
So, just for our peace of mind, we did get a Ring doorbell, and we were downstairs by the laundry room. So we definitely got
which was right across the hall from our door.
Yes.
In the laundry room, this one was 10 times better than the one in Baltimore.
Yeah.
That stuff, like the washer and dryer on the one in Baltimore would not work properly.
Yeah, it would flood, and it was just like you would come downstairs and think your stuff was done. It is just like everything's soaked in water.
and you'd have to wash it again. You'd have to do like wring it out yourself. Like it was terrible. But this one, everything was working properly. Yeah. We could use it easy.
Yeah. So there was 3 apartments down there. So ours, there was like a Spanish, remember it was like a Spanish guy and a woman that lived next door to us.
Yeah.
That he would always have that little crossbody. And then there was Kyrie, our neighbor Kyrie lived in the apartment next to the laundry room.
Had to be around 10 years old.
He was young. He may have been like 10. He was a sweet kid. So Kyrie was one of those kids that just was very adventurous. Kyrie was always outside.
Yeah.
His mom was like never at home. So I kind of would keep an eye on him without having to keep an eye on him, but he would just like come and just walk and run. And he was always at our doorbell, just like leaving messages and just doing stuff. But Adam actually met Kyrie personally one day.
So this kid was taking out trash because he was on the bottom level of like our building, and where their patio was, you'd have to walk like literally it was like 2 or 3 small steps to get up to the ground level, and you can walk out to the dumpster or walk to your cars in the parking lot. And the dumpster was, we were on one side of the building where the front door was. Their patio was on like the back side of our building where the grass was. But as soon as you go towards the parking lot, we both can hit the same point. There's a dumpster there, one dumpster. So I think I was coming back from work, or I was coming out of my car for something, and he was dragging this trash bag across the grass. And I knew that as soon as he got to the sidewalk pavement,
he seemed to never have a shirt on.
Yeah, he was one of those like kind of baby kids as well.
Always riding his bike, but he never had no shirt on.
Yeah, very kind kid. Beautiful soul of a kid. But he was dragging this trash bag, and he's like, like making audible noises. And I'm walking up to the curb, and I see him. He's just dragging it. This trash bag was like, it was overfilled. Like, before you throw that trash out, let me clean out what's in the refrigerator.
Yeah, because I think it was just him and his mom in the apartment. Like I think
there were a couple other kids.
Well, but I think that was like those kids would be in there, but I think weren't they like younger than him, or like he was the only boy or something like that, or the kids would come over. But from what, my understanding, I think it was just him and his mom, and his mom worked a lot, and so he was like the quote unquote man of the house as a kid, and so he would do most of like those chores, like taking the trash and stuff out.
And then he would always walk past the Ring doorbell camera because he would go into and do the laundry.
Yes, she had him do the laundry. She would do it sometimes, but she would send him in there to do the laundry.
Or to like pick up after what she put in there, stuff like that. So he's dragging this trash bag. It's a heavy trash bag. He's like struggling with it. I'm like, if he hits this curb, he's going to spill open this trash bag and it's going to be all over the place. So I looked at him. I was like, hey, do you need help? He kind of locked eyes with me. I was like, hey, do you need some help? He's like, yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. So I lifted. I was like, it's kind of heavy. I mean, it's decent. So I take it. I throw it into the trash. He followed me to like the garbage can. Thanks so much. Like that was so heavy. Like we get into a little conversation, and he's one of those kids that he's just curious.
He talks a lot, yeah.
So he just starts asking a bunch of questions. I can't even remember what questions he's asking, but he's just asking questions and asking questions, and then would just be like, "Okay, see you later."
I think he just needed somebody to talk to.
Yeah, and then just leave. So really cool kid, and I got his name, he got my name, so the relationship of knowing Kyrie was born.
Yeah. We didn't like talk to him much, but it was just one of those things where like sometimes I just would have to look at the Ring doorbell just to make sure he was okay. Because you remember like that one day, I think he was by himself that one day, and that man came down there and was like knocking on the door.
Yeah.
And like I watched the whole interaction on the Ring doorbell just to make sure he was okay, because I think Kyrie was by himself. And we knew what kind of car his mother drove, because she had a
wrap on it.
Yeah, she had a wrap on her car. And like her Instagram handle was on like her car. I'm not gonna go into detail what it is. Like what kind of rap it was. I don't want to talk about that.
Oh, because I remember vividly.
I remember exactly what it was too, but we're not gonna go into detail on what it is. I don't want to give too much information because we already told you where we lived at. But yes, she had a very specific car, and so we knew what kind of car she drove. And if we did not see that car out there, then we knew Kyrie was definitely in there by himself.
Yeah.
So we would just kind of keep an eye on him on the camera just to make sure he was okay. But like this man came knocking on the door or something like that, and I see Kyrie like peek the door open because he was too short to look through the peephole.
Yeah.
So he kind of like opened the door and was like looking.
Cracked it to look.
Yeah, and then like just shut it, and so the man wouldn't leave, and so I'm like, I think I was texting you like, hey, like what do I do? Like he's like, just keep an eye on him. Like he should be okay. Like it's fine.
I think it ended up being somebody
for his mom or something.
Yeah,
like
that his mom knew. Maybe she was dating the guy or something like that. So it ended up not being like we were about to. I was like, if it gets worse, like call the cops type of thing. Just so, because we got a soft spot for the kid. We don't know him that well, but just to look out for him type of thing.
But the one thing that always sticks out to me is before we even physically met Kyrie, well, he did see Braxton before with his little vest on. He goes, is that a military dog? And I was like, no. He's like, what kind of dog is that? Is that a Rottweiler? And I was like, it's a Rottweiler. That's what he said.
Rottweiler.
And I was like, it's a Rottweiler. He's like, oh, okay, he's cute. I was like,
and then just get on his bike and just speed off.
Just speed off.
Like, he wasn't scared of him. He'd be like, can I pet him? Can I pet him? He's just one of those kids like, okay, and then just speed off.
Yeah, he just leave.
Go
like,
find his friends and go do like whatever hood rat stuff. I'm gonna just do hood rat things with my friends. Nah, he was just a kid in the neighborhood and just would just be a kid.
But before that, I think his mom had conversations with him because there's like this one time that I remember she was coming in super late with her friends, and she was like, her friend was like, "What's that on their door?" And she's like, oh, they be recording people. And I was like, girl, because if you had a package that was left at your door and somebody came and got it, you gonna come over here to this apartment, knock on this door and ask us if we had the video footage of somebody taking it.
And what did Kyrie say?
So Kyrie the one day ran past the door and he like rang the doorbell and was like, y'all some snitches. We have the video. I'm gonna post it, but I'm gonna black his face out. But he did. He said, y'all some snitches.
And we still to this day.
We just be saying it just randomly. Y'all some snitches. So, but we never really we didn't blame him for anything. Honestly.
I hope he's doing fine because we ended up just moving out of there. But we'll talk about that, how that was. For now, I was gonna say we're probably not gonna get to half of this stuff in this episode. It'll probably be a episode 7. But we're actually still in wedding planning season. The best thing about this was that we were both at home. Yeah.
I was hybrid, but
for most of the time, we were both at home. So the amount of time that we could spend on planning was literally every single day. If I wasn't in a meeting, like I do my thing for recruiting, I'd be in the meetings that I would be in. And we didn't even have a ton of meetings because of Quincy, my older fraternity brother who got me into that position. He didn't like to do a whole bunch of team meetings and stuff like that. So a lot of freedom I was getting my work done. But a lot of freedom to just be, well, let's look this up. Let's look this up. Let's look this up.
So we were like looking stuff up and coming up with ideas. Our wedding team was helping us and stuff like that. We were officially gonna go with the colors of like red, gold, and black, and then because we had seen it on 4 Weddings, that show 4 Weddings on TLC. I was like, oh, that could actually be kind of like
and
cute.
We fought with my sister who was going to help us plan the wedding. We like fought with her on it, and that she just we ended up just not. She ended up like, hey, this isn't gonna work. Type of thing with us, and we have a great relationship with her, so that's not a big issue. But if she's watching this, we told her before, but she was definitely right. That color, but it's executed by some people very, very nicely. But the hues that we wanted was going to make it look. You had seen a wedding
that was like
with the same shades we wanted, and we both sat there. We're just like, that's ugly.
But I did fly with a girl recently, see if she's listening to this. She's very sweet. Her husband actually had those colors, and it was gorgeous. And I showed you it. It was gorgeous. The way they executed everything, it was really beautiful. But we didn't end up going with those colors. So at this point in time now, we are getting ready to do. It's October, and I went wedding dress shopping.
Oh, we missed something before then.
What?
So we almost had to move the wedding dates, because I got my drill schedule.
Oh yeah.
And
fighting for the country.
Yeah, I got my drill schedule in September, and the original drill schedule had the dates on it, or didn't have our wedding dates on it.
Mm-hmm.
So we were like, okay, cool. And we solidified the dates because we already put the money down, but they needed the dates that we wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, I got to wait till I get my drill schedule out so we can pick. And we picked the date, and it was your original date that you wanted to do. And we were like, okay, we're good.
Mm-hmm.
So money was down for the venue. We got our date solidified. It fits with their calendar. We're all good to go. Then it had to be maybe a few days after, a week after, they made an update to our drill schedule. And now annual training, so my 2 week summer training camp with the Army is now the first day of annual training is the day of our wedding. Mm-hmm. So I had a meeting. We had a meeting with we do this once a month before we go in. We'll have a leadership meeting with the unit. And I was like, hey, sir, my commander at the time, I was like, hey, could I talk to you after this? I got a discrepancy here. So I talked to him. I'm like, yeah, so the original drill schedule we had, we weren't going to drill on my wedding day. Well, now our first day of drill is on my wedding day. Mm-hmm. And he was like, oh, well, is there any way that you can move it? I said, no, we already put the deposit down and we're locked in for that date. So I'm like, we're not moving it. He's like, oh man, we can make it work. Don't worry about it. There's a couple of options that we can do, but just to make sure, you didn't book the honeymoon yet, did you? He's like, no, I didn't book the honeymoon. He's like, okay, I would refrain from booking your honeymoon. But it ended up being that I had two options. I could do alternate annual training dates, or I could get 3 days in the front of annual training forgiven, basically, and not have to do those over, get those first 3 days off, and then come in on the fourth day of annual training and be there for the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So I took the second option, and so that I could have the wedding, be there for the wedding, the day after the wedding, and then I was going to use that third day as a travel day to get to drill, because it was my last annual training with that company and I was going to be moving on. So I was like, no, I want to make sure I'm with the team and so on and so forth. So yeah, we did forget that, but now
my timeline together. Sorry.
No, you're good.
All right.
But yes, now we're still pretty deep. We're getting deeper and deeper and deeper into wedding planning. Mm-hmm. And just so everybody knows, if you're planning a wedding currently, or you're thinking of planning a wedding currently, or you have, it's a lot. Mm-hmm. We were very blessed in the position we were in, but it is a lot to do when you have to get the vendors, you have to pay the vendors, you have to coordinate everything that happens. You got to think of every single detail, and you got to think big picture at the same time. You have to make sure the hardest part is corralling people. It's like herding cats. It is the worst. The guest list portion of that season, that was terrible.
My God. Like, one thing that I need to just let y'all know, if somebody is hosting an event, RSVP. And if you know for a fact that you don't know if you can get there or you're not going to be there, don't RSVP. Well, RSVP and say you're not coming. but don't RSVP and say you're coming and not show up without an excuse. That's one thing I'm going to tell you, because you know what? Later on, when we have kids and we start paying for our kids to get married, one thing I'm going to do, if you RSVP for our kid's wedding and you don't show up, I'm sending you a bill.
It was a lot. And I had some harebrained schemes that I came up with. Well, not harebrained schemes, but just
Adam was about to get all y'all messed up. I just want to let y'all know. And I stopped him because the way that half of these people have no type of respect about coming to something like this, like a wedding, or sending out messages saying, well, dang, we can't even get invited to the reception. That's the one we got to pay for.
Yeah, so I had heard this idea and it made a lot of sense, right? And this already fit our theme, is treating the wedding, because we do this with like baby showers, of the guests essentially pouring in resources into the couple, right? So treating the wedding as such. In other cultures they do this, so this isn't a like astronomical concept. But the way that I was gonna frame it based on this idea that I heard would have been a little bit different. But if you look at like Nigerian weddings, they shower
with money.
They shower you with money, and it's not a matter of if somebody's gonna bring some monetary value back to you to pour into you. It's how much are they bringing, because they're coming with the noise and they're bringing a lot of money. So whatever you paid for the wedding is you're probably going to get that back at least 2 times, so that you as a new couple are set up financially
absolutely
for the future. But for American weddings, we don't look at it that way. Like, you'll be lucky or grateful if people come and give money. And it's almost like you have to invite people, like it's a campaign donation fundraiser, and you want to invite the big money bags to make sure that you're going to get some money out of it at the end of the day, versus inviting people that you know are going to be cheap and are just going to be there for the food and for the good time. So with that in mind, I heard this idea of creating your wedding as a black tie event, which ours was black tie creative, is the theme we went with. So we wanted you to come in with a little bit of class, but selling a ticket for that would cover your meal. So if anything, we're breaking even on the amount of money that we put in, at least for the food, which is the most expensive piece to a wedding. And everybody knows that. So at least we were going to break even on the food costs, and then whatever we would get over top of that. And it guarantees, so it does a few things. One, it guarantees that somebody's going to give some type of monetary gift, because they're already paying for their meal. So you could set that ticket price at the price of the meal. 2, you don't have to then give a gift. It's not then that expected of somebody to give a gift if they've just paid for their meal. But if somebody gives a gift on top of that, then all of that goes into maybe whatever other expenses that you paid for the wedding. You can set it at the meal price, or you can set it per like how much your expenses were and divide that by how many people are coming. And you can set the ticket there to make sure you break even on everything. But it's like a black tie event. To get to the black tie event, you have to pay to get there. Like, it's not a free event. You pay to go to a fundraiser type of event to have a seat there. So that was the idea. And then people can give gifts over top of that. And then you get money that goes to the couple to start their life and start them off on a good financial footing. Yeah. So that was one of the ideas. And I got shot down so hard from my mother-in-law and my wife that this was not what we were going to do. The other one was, and I thought was completely stupid, is the idea of a save the date.
Yeah, he hated that idea.
Because I keep seeing it time and time again. You give a save the date out, and we were very genius on ours, because we made magnets. Because most people, you give a paper or card version of a save the date, you'd be lucky if it gets on their refrigerator.
But then you have people like BB and Bianca who like have so many friends that get married. They just switch out to save the dates on the on their fridge. Like us though, we have a save the date from you. So like George and Ashley saved the date. We kept that up for forever. And then when we moved, I mean, it's like in like a envelope, like with the rest of the save the dates and stuff. But they rotate theirs out because like once your wedding passes, they just be like, so when we went to their house, I was like, where's my save the date? And they're like, you're fast.
Ours is the magnet that should be holding up everybody else's save the date. So we did it smart, but the thing was the save the date concept to me is just a money grab for wedding vendors because you just said it. If you like RSVP or don't, like RSVP and say you're coming or you're not, respond to it. It's like you had to save the date for months and months before we sent out invites.
And you still don't know if you're coming or not.
And you still, the whole point of the save the date is the same thing as the invite. Put the date on your calendar and block it off. Quit being waking like to me that's so dumb. Like, but we're gonna pay our money to put out a bunch of cards, or in our case, we made magnets, and we invited over 200 people came to our wedding.
Almost 300 people.
Almost 300. We had 250. I think we ended up inviting
275 or something like that.
Yeah, we invited over 250 people. I think 230 something people were on the final guest list, and we had 2 full tables. So maybe I
had somebody text me. I had somebody text me while I was getting my makeup done the day of the wedding.
The address.
And was like, hey, what's the address for the wedding? And did not show up.
Which was on everything that you would have gotten and didn't show up.
So you can already guess that I don't talk to that person.
We counted, I think, 22 people that didn't show up, no call, no show day of, but that were RSVP'd. So my thing is the save the dates, and then people were getting back to us like, oh, we were waiting on your RSVP. I'm like, we should have just sent out the RSVPs and kept it pushing.
I was fine with what we did. So I just, he didn't like that. But
then other people's weddings that we've seen, they send out save the dates, and then by the time they send out
the save the date, the
actual invitation, it's like people didn't save the date. So what's the point of the card? Like I could have just texted you to save the date, like, hey yo, put this date in your calendar, block this off. I could have sent you a calendar reminder. That would have been way more efficient and less costly, so that you could have blocked it off on all your devices' calendars.
Yeah. We didn't have much going on around this time, so we are officially moved in to the apartment, like we said. And then, well, we did have stuff going on, but like it was more planning. Adam was gone, but Meech had a going away party because he was getting ready to move to Canada. And I went to that. Adam was not there, but I went, and BB, Bianca, I think Brianna and Key went too. They were all there. So I chilled with them there. Let's see. Adam came back. Sorry guys, I'm doing my timeline. We did some date nights at the we used to go to the social place.
Sports bar and social.
Yeah. We would go and watch the fight there.
UFC fights, yep.
And it was a casino. And then this is why I really love Baltimore, because we used to do brunch all the time. And I think that next day when we went there, we ended up going back to Baltimore. We went to the Civil with the gang, as I would say. Yeah. He wasn't there, but the gang was there. Just us two, BB, Bianca, and Brianna. And when we used to go to the Civil, now the Civil we have a love-hate relationship with, because the food is actually good. The service just sucks. But they had like all you can drink mimosas, and they mixed their mimosas with Prosecco and tequila, like vodka or something like that.
Fire crabbed it.
Baby, I was done.
Fire crabbed it.
That was one of those days where I just had to go into the house and just go take a nap, because I was just like, yeah, this is too much.
That was the third time you went, because the first time you went was Kirsten.
Then we went with Amir, and then
it was So, but that time they did we didn't go back after this, because they did a assembly line brunch, basically, like you go up there, but the cooks were there, so they
I don't even know
put
what
the
to
food.
say. Like it was like
a buffet style brunch.
It was like that meme. I don't want anybody swag surfing near my French toast.
Oh, facts.
That place used to be lit.
Because remember, we went up there because we were like, and we felt so big back for this because they were supposed to be ready at a certain time. They weren't ready just yet, so we kept walking up there, and we would pick up the lids to the food and be like, "Can we start?" Like, but there's no utensils to serve ourselves. So it's like, what's going on? Then the cook comes out and is like, he's like shutting the other side that we could see on our end.
We was early, but like it wasn't even lit yet. But by the time we like when we got there and sat down, it was like lit.
Yeah, because like it was all you can eat brunch, but it was because you kept going in the line. So it's like I'm not gonna keep. I think I went up twice the second time to get some small stuff, but it's like I'm not gonna keep going up and getting full plates. Like that's really some big activities going on.
Yeah. So in between that, my niece, my oldest niece's mother was planning her quinceañera. So I was decorating her tennis shoes for her quince, and I was so sad. My baby was turning 15. Um, so yeah, that was happening.
Just small things that we were doing,
just little stuff. Let's see, and then here we are, we're in October. So now this is a time frame where I am for sure hybrid. So I was going in every so often, and then I was just at home.
It's October 2021.
Yeah. So now we're on a date night, and we actually went to go see Billy Sorrell's at the comedy club. We would go to the comedy club all the time in Baltimore.
A few times, yeah.
And this time we went. BB and Bianca went with us, and two of the gang. And Billy Sorrell's is a noob, if you guys didn't know that. And so then we met him and we took pictures with him and all that.
That was like his Sunday afternoon show or something.
Yeah, so it wasn't a lot of people there.
Yeah.
He was funny though.
And he was going at everybody in the crowd too.
Yeah, he was.
It was a good time.
So we're still over here working out and doing what we do. However, we had one big bad problem. The Amish market was up the street.
Yeah, that was the bane of our physical fitness journey.
That Amish market used to tear us up. Ugh.
That is one of the more famous Amish markets at least in that area in Maryland, because the Dutch County Farmers Market, it's a small spot. It seems like, I mean, the store in there is kind of big, but it's crowded all the time. They're only open Thursday,
Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And the rest of the time, there are other businesses in there. I think there's a Mexican restaurant in that little strip mall too. But anytime you're driving past and it's not a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, that parking lot is just dead. But as soon as Thursday hits, the parking lot is full. It's heavy traffic trying to get in and out of there. And then there's a Home Depot right next to them that has that catches a little bit of the overflow, because people would park there and walk up to there. You'd be fighting for your life to get in there, and get out alive, because people wouldn't pay attention. You'd be liable to get hit just walking in the parking lot against parked cars. Like, it was crazy, but the food was fire. Always amazing. The produce, crazy fresh. They had the meat counter and the seafood at the end of the meat counter, like separated from it. But you could see that they'd like hang up the cow and be cutting it in the back sometimes. You wouldn't see it all the time, but it was an interesting experience when you got to see it. Mm-hmm. And they put it out like crazy stuff. The barbecue. Yeah. The pickle stand. Yeah, they had a pickle stand there, and you could get all these pickles and stuff. Different pickles. It was always good. They always had fresh bread. Like, I'm looking at pictures. They had like apple loaf bread and stuff. And the one thing that I would go there for was the ranch dressing. And that was one thing that whenever my mom, whenever we were going home, she's like, you need to bring me some bottles of ranch, or it was always, we had to take orders before we came home, to get stuff before we went. So yeah, that place was definitely amazing. Amazing. We also celebrated our engagement anniversary. We went to DC to the French restaurant. What was that? They send me emails all the time still.
Their food was fire.
It was because we like to do different date nights. We went to a French
restaurant.
It was like ratatouille up in there.
Oh!
But because it was still COVID, we actually got this little spot that they gave us where we could close the curtains, and it was like actual like big,
it was beautiful,
nice curtains, and make it more of a.
Definitely, I mean, as a person who's been to Paris, it was definitely like on that. It did look like it gave the vibes of Paris on the inside of the.
Oh, that food was so good. Yeah, I was trying to close the curtains because I was tearing up the lamb chops.
He was tearing them lamb chops
like the ugly look. Like I had to pick up the bone in my hand, and Anisha was like, "Yo, can you like not? Can you not do that?" I was like, "Nah, this is." But they gave us a wine pairing with it. Yeah, it was really good. We gotta go back there. I can't remember what the place was called, but like I said, they send me emails all the time.
Yeah, we'll have to do it. So then Adam leaves. He went to drill. Me and the Bucko boy traveled back to Ohio because I had my dress fitting. Well, I had I was dress consultation. I was gonna go find a dress, and my niece's quinceañera was that same weekend. And I think I tried on like 8 dresses, and I actually found the one. It was a great experience. First of all, I was a little taken aback. I told Adam this like later on. I didn't realize that the sales associate has to go inside with you to put the dress on. So she was looking at my boobs. Like I was like, "Oh, girl, what's that?" Yeah, I was like, "Girl, like, what are you doing?" I blew a bag on my niece that day. I think I spent like $400 in makeup for her quinceañera. Did her makeup. And she had her quince. It was amazing. It was a great time. Adam was not there. That's the one thing that we have to realize though with the military. He be missing all the stuff.
And it's on because it's 1 weekend a month, 2 weeks in the summer. So, but it seems to be that on times and dates on weekends that everybody wants to plan something and do something fun. It's rarely that I'm there.
Adam, we neglected to put on this list because it just popped up. It's October 30th, which is Halloween, and we were in Pittsburgh. What happened that time in 2021? Would you like to tell the audience what happened?
Oh, how did we almost forget this? Yeah, so good thing you caught that.
Yeah, because I just seen the pictures with Ashley, and I was like, we were in Pittsburgh. I know exactly what happened this weekend.
So, Halloween weekend, we went in 2021. We went to Pittsburgh again. We through our, prepping for our wedding and planning everything. We would go to Pittsburgh pretty regularly, and we would always, when we get there, hang out with George and Ashley. Mm-hmm. So this was no different. We had
Ronnie with us this time too.
Ronnie was with us and his girlfriend Rebecca, which we hope to get them on the podcast as well. We were going back and forth. Or not going back and forth. Sorry, excuse me. So we got in and we got our hotel and we're like, hey, we already know what we're going to do. We're going to hit Lefties. We're going to go to a different bar. And then we're going to end up at one of the 2 hookah lounges that are down by the strip. So the one that I can never pronounce it, but that they always go to, the quieter one with the...
Yes, Ashley and George are frequenters of this hookah bar, and they have the best chicken wings.
And then the other one doesn't really have food. It just has like, you could buy like...
That one's just really lit. That's really like a young crowd.
Yeah, but they always have a DJ there, so it's always lit. So... But then Domino's is right up the street from literally like up the block, so you could just walk up the block and get Domino's. It's connected to the same block. So we were invited that weekend to my cousin and her husband, who's also a noob. So noobs are amazing. We're the greatest. But he's a brother with Pittsburgh Alumni Chapter, and they invited us to their house because they were having a Halloween party.
Yes.
So we'll get into what our costume was later, and we'll send out the pictures of that too. But the night before, we were going out with George and Ashley and Ronnie and Rebecca.
Mm-hmm.
So we met them out to, I think we went to eat first. We went to eat at one of those like incubator places where it's a marketplace and it's got a bunch of restaurants that are like they either stay there and they pay rent or they end up launching their business and going somewhere else and like getting, because they have, they gained a following there. So we ended up going to one of those marketplace restaurants. We ate there. Then we went out and we hit Lefties, get the cheap drinks. And then we went to do some bar hopping at 12 Bar, I think is where we ended up landing. And I parked right across, it was in a parking lot across the street from 12 Bar.
In the middle of all of this happening, he don't even know, but I'm inside with Ashley and I almost got into a fight with that girl.
Yeah, some random girl or something like that was in there. So I had on Tim's that night, and apparently I couldn't, like, some places, especially in Pittsburgh, it'd be super racist in the bars down there on the strip, so we rarely try to go there anymore. But I had on Tim's. They were like, hey, could you switch them? So I had on other shoes. I had other shoes in my car to put on. So I went to go switch them. But I guess, like, because the drinks were starting to hit a little bit, I didn't lock it, or I didn't hear my car lock. So my car wasn't locked. I was trying to get back in. I was like rushing. So I didn't lock the car, but I thought I did. So think nothing of it. We're partying at 12 Bar, having a good time. Then we leave. They want to go to the hookah bar. We go to the hookah bar. So we're sitting there, and Anisha gets an alert from, I think it was Capital One, right?
Yeah, I got it from Capital One, and it was an alert saying that somebody tried to spend $500 on my credit card.
Yeah, and we looked at it. We were like,
I was like, what?
What's going on? But we like kind of brushed it off a little bit. Like,
I was like, I'll deal with it later.
Yeah, she's like, I'll deal with it later.
Another one came over and it said that they tried to use my card at the get-go up the street. And I was like, okay, something's really weird. Something's happening. Yeah. This is weird. And so then we get into the car.
We go back. Yeah, we end the night. We get into the car and we drive back to our hotel. And our hotel was in Monroeville, so that's an easy, probably 15-minute drive, maybe a little bit longer. But there really wasn't any traffic, so we kind of flew back, got there in like 15 minutes or so. And I at that time had still a legitimate concealed carry license in PA. So anytime I would go to PA, if I was driving my car, which we weren't flying at the time, so we would always drive to PA. Anytime that I would drive to PA, I would always carry my gun with me unless I was going to drill and Anisha was going to be at the apartment by herself with Braxton. I would leave it with her.
Yeah.
So I would carry that gun with me because I can conceal carry. So I had my gun on me that weekend. And that night, we get the alert on the charges. And the first one we didn't think of. We still thought it was weird, but we were like, hey, we'll just get back and figure it out.
Yeah.
I had the gun in the center console because I could have it tucked in somewhere and closed. And I went to get out of the car, and it's secondhand nature. You're reaching for your gun, and I'm like, nothing's there. Uh-oh.
But when you think back to it, that's literally the craziest thing that you could steal from somebody is somebody's gun.
Wild.
That is literally nuts. This man took the gun. He took my credit card. He took.
I think he only got one of your credit cards.
Yeah, he took the save the dates. He took some of my jewelry that was in there, and he took like some of our Bath and Body Works lotion. But he definitely took the save the dates because we had the save the dates to give to Ronnie and them. Yeah, and they were missing.
No, I gave Ronnie his save the dates,
but it was another one. It was another one that was missing.
Ashley and I think George, because we gave one to my cousin and her husband when we got to the party. We gave one was supposed to be for I think Ashley and George, and then one was supposed to be for Ronnie and Rebecca. I gave them theirs already.
Yeah, that man went through everything.
Or it was supposed to be for other people. Either way, we had
were
these
missing.
save the dates.
He took some save the date.
And he took them, and Anisha was freaking out. She was like,
I was like, he's going to find us.
I was like, our return address is on there. I was like, if he's like anybody that's in Pittsburgh that's just like pulling door handles, there's no way he's making it to Maryland.
He probably thought that there was money inside of the car. Like, he thought it was a car that had money in it, and so he probably just took it.
He pitched it.
And, but it was a save the date in it. So that was missing. But the fact that his gun was gone, like, now that I think about it, at first, like, when you're in the situation, you're just like, okay. But now that I think about it, that's literally nuts. Like, you just literally went in somebody's car and took their gun.
And dipped.
And this was an ongoing case for a while.
Yeah, it lasted for a minute. We didn't see the ending of it because they wanted us to come in to... For some reason, the DA thought that it would strengthen the case. So this was dumb.
Because he had
prior charges. Yeah. He just got out of jail. He was not allowed to operate or have possession of a firearm. Yeah. He gets caught by the police with a firearm.
Like, just throw him in jail.
By the police swiping your credit card. They triangulated where he was at.
They had the video footage. They seen it. They see everything.
They had everything dead to rights.
But wanted us to come in.
They stalled, and then the DA wanted us to come in to testify. Testify for what? We didn't see the man. Oh, they also had the footage of him because that parking lot was
with the parking lot. Yeah,
he was pulling handles, so they had footage of him pulling my door handle. They just didn't have footage of him. Like, they had him in the car, but they didn't see what he took out. Mm-hmm. But they knew by me going the next day, before they got all this evidence, me going the next day to the precinct to like report what had happened, when it had happened. Then they find all this evidence pretty quickly. And the cops that are communicating with us were like, hey, this is pretty cut and dry. He has priors. He's not supposed to be doing this. He's violating parole, this and that and the third. So I'm like, oh, this is going to be a done deal. It dragged on for months, and we didn't make it to the actual court date. So we don't know what happened, but we know that I never got any type of payment from it. Mm-mm. I don't remember seeing any paperwork from them.
They didn't get it back from him, so he didn't have it.
Yeah, he didn't have it when they found him. It wasn't in his possession. So, bye-bye gun.
So, yeah, it was just, that was nuts. Something else that I just thought about, let me see if I can remember that happened around that time that we did not Okay, so no, that's Braxton. Braxton, that was when he got hurt, when his foot got hurt. I just seen it, and
there was an honorable mention. It said
we're gonna talk about that because we're gonna wrap this up because we talked about a lot. We forgot about all these intricate details in between the time frame. So actually, the real wedding, the bridal shower and the bachelorette and bachelor party is gonna be in the next episode.
Yeah,
we forgot a whole bunch of stuff. We went to Miami for Janelle and Monty's wedding. We forgot about that.
No, we should be in December now.
That's December.
December is next. Yeah, that was their wedding was in December.
Yeah, well, we're not gonna. I was gonna say we're not gonna have enough time to talk about everything.
We'll talk about that next. Next episode.
But yes, Janelle and Monty's wedding was in December, so we went there.
So we're in Halloween right now.
Okay, I don't remember what it was. It was something that I was thinking about, and it split my mind, and I was like, ooh, and then I forgot it.
What did I ask you to remind me of?
You need to talk about your honorable mention for your COVID.
Oh, yes. Let's
talk about that and end it.
Yeah, so this will be the ending. So this is an honorable mention because I didn't mention it at the beginning.
Disclaimer. Gentlemen, if your wife
or significant other.
Yes, if your wife or your significant other, he, she, they, them, warns you and tells you about something, listen to them. Don't be like Adam. Listen to your significant other. Okay?
That's the preface to the story. So
listen to them.
There we were. We were going out on a date to. It was a.
Keep in mind, we were still. He was still doing jujitsu.
Yeah,
I wasn't doing anything. He was.
So this was. We're going back. So we're gonna pick you guys back up in the story from after Halloween when we get to the next episode. So this was the honorable mention that I was supposed to talk about at the beginning of the episode. So these two are a little bit they're different. So back when we still had the shutdowns, things were starting to loosen. Restaurants you were allowed to go in but take the mask off when you were eating and put it back on to move. Gyms, if everybody remembers, had a different they had different rules for them to open, and for like jiu-jitsu gyms specifically, well, for all gyms you had to have space, but for jiu-jitsu gyms they made it in such a way that they would tape off the floors and like make squares, and you could only have like one partner and you had to stay in those squares. And for a while it was like, oh well, you don't have to wear a mask when you're rolling, then you did have to wear a mask. So it was a whole thing that we were trying to navigate, and it just got crazy. So, but the one thing that the gym that we were going to did was they bought ozone generators that would go off during the day after each class to try to kill the air or kill the germs in the air, bacteria. And they did contact tracing because that's what all the businesses had to do. So I would go in the morning, so there was not that many people that would roll at like 5 or 6 in the morning. So I had a steady flow of just maybe a couple partners that I would go with. And one of my training partners, after we had rolled, like after we had class, he had then got sick like a day or two after that. It was like, I'm going to go get tested. I'm not feeling well. And then he let me know and let all of us know, like, yeah, I had the vids. I had the suds. I got the suds.
That's what we call it, the suds. When somebody's not feeling good, it's the suds.
So that was our protocol with the gym, is you had to tell the gym so that they could spread the word in text message. They weren't gonna dime you out, but he dimed himself out to us because it was only a few of us. Because I remember one of our training partners got so angry at that because he had kids, rightfully so. But I was like, okay, so I don't think I went right away to go get tested into quarantine. I was like, I think I'll be okay. So again, bullheaded, but I was like, I think I'll be okay.
He was one of those people.
And it's not real. I ended up probably a week or so after that,
Bluetooth
getting sick. And I thought because the season was changing that it was my normal seasonal sickness, right? And I got a fever, and I do what I always do when I get a fever. I get in a sweatsuit, I lay on the couch, I bundle up, and I sweat it out. And I have fluids by me so I can like stay hydrated, and I sweat this thing out until the fever breaks. I'll take a Motrin or two to break the fever. So I broke the fever, and I was like, okay, I'm cool, I'm good. We then, maybe some days after that, we go to this we went to the Korean barbecue, but it was a different style than we were used to because
they were like trying to cook it for us.
They were trying to cook it for us, but then we were like, nah, we're cool. So at this, how we found out that I had the suds was...
He's about to be dramatic, by the way.
No, I'm not. I'm
yes,
just
he is. He's about to be dramatic.
So when you go to Korean barbecue, they have like sauces, dipping sauces, and then they have these pickled radishes, like slices of pickled radishes in a little dish at your table. And I've never had them before. So Nisha was like, I wonder what those taste like. But she didn't want to taste them. She's like, you try them. I was like, okay. So I pick one up. I eat it. And
here comes the dramatic.
She was like, "What does it taste like?" I was like, "Oh, it don't taste like nothing." And then she asked me again. She's like, "Wait, what do you mean it doesn't taste like anything? Because it's a pickled."
What do you mean by that?
What do you mean by that? Because it's a pickled radish that has a definite smell and it has a definite taste. I thought, because I was a little stuffy as well. So, okay, I was a little stuffy.
Here we go.
Stop being dramatic.
No.
I was a little stuffy at the time trying to get over what I thought was just a normal, like me being sick. So I'm like, oh, well, I really can't taste anything. And I told her that. And I'm like, it's probably because like my sinuses are stuffed, so I can't really taste anything. And she was like, Adam, you can't taste anything. And she starts getting loud.
That is not how that happened. You
She's
guys,
like, you got COVID.
No, I didn't. He's literally lying.
That's what you said.
No, okay. So let's go back to the fact of how many times I told him he needed to go get tested in between them. I said it how many times?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. But I've mentioned it to him about 3 or 4 times. Maybe you should go get tested. Because I feel like that's something that you should do if you're in a contact sport like jiu-jitsu.
Players don't need to get tested, boo. I'm cool.
So when he gets sick and his favorite thing is like, oh, my nose is stuffy, so I can't taste anything. I don't know how true that is for any of you guys, but when my nose is stuffy, I can still taste stuff.
It don't have to be true for
okay, you're done. This is my show right now. So with him saying in the restaurant, I don't know, I can't taste that. I just looked at him and I gave him a look and I said, you can't what? And he said, it clicked to him what he said. And he was like, I said, I can't taste that. And I just looked at him and I just went back to eating. And I said, we need to hurry up and eat and get out of here.
That's not all that you said.
No.
Anisha, you got...
No, I didn't. You're lying to me.
But
that's not what happened.
Loud, and you were making a big to-do about it.
No,
and
why would I do that in front of people?
I remember because your back was to the people that had just walked over to our section.
We were in the same seating arrangement with those 2 girls. Remember they worked there.
No, they didn't work there. Or the one acted like she worked there.
No, the one did work there, but she was just eating there.
They had just gotten over there by the time.
Y'all, I'm not about to sit here and let him lie on my name. This is a scheme that Todd set up. And so the fact that like I just literally looked at him and I was like, you're gonna go get tested tomorrow. Like you have no choice at this point.
Yeah.
Because like what? And he's like, no, it's not that. No, it's not that. It's because my nose is stuffy. My nose is stuffy and I can't taste anything. I said, okay. And what do? We got in that car and where do we go? To go get tested. And what did it say? You got COVID. You got the suds. He was shut up at that point in time. Yeah, shut up.
I only thought that because
my nose is stuffy, so I can't taste anything.
Because the fever, I broke the fever real quick, and it acted and felt just like the other times.
Womp, womp, womp. So yeah, that's what happens. And when I say listen to your significant other, when they're telling you something, most likely they know what they're talking about.
But when you as a significant other realize what it is.
Oh,
like if your significant other splits their pants, don't be loud.
All right, I'm out of here. This was a great episode because he's really trying to frame my character because that's not how that happened. But my guy is good. He still don't listen. I got my little baby who don't listen. My cinnamon apple who don't listen. He listens whenever he wants to. Thank you. Love you too. He listens to me when he wants to. Other than that, no, you don't listen.
Well, that is our show. So we will see you all in episode 7.
This was like a little filler episode. This had some extra stuff that we forgot.
Yeah.
We had to kind of get out there.
We'll see you in episode 7. So keep rocking with us on the podcast. Like, comment, subscribe, rate the podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. And write into the show at loveleap@gmail.com. That's LOVELEEP. Huh? Okay. gmail.com. And we'll leave the links down in the show notes as far as the photographer that we were talking about. She got to go. The photographer that we were talking about, and also any other helpful links that we have, we will leave those down as well. So thanks for listening. Check out the links in the show notes in the description. And we'll see you in episode 7. Oh. I don't even think. Oh, no. Thank you.